Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna talk about Tolumnia orchids and mainly about signs that your Tolumnia will show when it's stressed. So not only I will guide you through step by step what to do when you notice some of these signs, and I will report a stressed Tolumnia with you today. If that's the type of content you'd like to see here, let's navigate through it together and let me know if you have any questions down below. I'm always open to hear some of your comments, and whenever it's possible, I will definitely get back to you. So, without further ado, let's start talking about these beautiful, cute miniature orchids. So, the Lunia orchids, they are very, very cute, as I already mentioned. They are super space savers because they fit anywhere around your house. However, they can be a bit sensitive, a bit finicky when we talk about environmental changes. So, if you have an abrupt change in temperature or make the watering routine change, because they have very thin roots, and not only that, they have specific needs when we're talking about potting them up, they can get stressed easily and they take a while to recover. For this reason, we have in here different alunias that are healthy and unhealthy and almost dead. I'm gonna talk some of the stressed signs and I'm gonna show you what I have and what's the opposite of it. The first sign is wrinkled or shivering leaves. That's very common. You notice that with your tolunia quite easily because these leaves, they are quite succulent, so should be plumpy and full of water when you look at it. However, if your Tolumnia orchid starts to show signs that some of the leaves are becoming very wrinkled, something is wrong with your plant. It is or dehydrated and you need to offer it some water, or it had a massive root loss, which means that without roots, they are not being able to hydrate themselves. I have here a Tolumnia inside this glass container that's almost gone because it lost all of its roots, and the first sign that I noticed on its leaves were the fact that it was very wrinkled. Let me open it. What I have here inside is like a completely dead growth. What happened is it started to rot and it's gone. The other part that was very dehydrated is also gone. So now I have only one division, and I don't have any hope that this division will be able to push out more growths. But when I noticed that this plant was very, very wrinkled, the first thing that I did was to look into the plant and discover that it was rootless. How I attempted to save this one didn't work out was to add it inside a glass container to see if the high humidity would be able to save this plant. But as I mentioned before, they take a while to bounce back, and in this case, I had a massive rot that affected the whole plant, so I wouldn't be able to save it anyway. However, with a proper potting mix, with a proper environment, probably this plant would be alive, but took me a while to actually attempt to recover it. For this reason, it's almost gone, but I can't throw it away, so I'll keep it in here. Another sign that you can notice that your Tolunia might be struggling is the fact that you look into its leaves and you see yellowing leaves. As I said, signs of rot, that the leaves are falling one after another one. And this is the case when you have that happening, is because probably parts of your plant are rotting. And this could be a case of excessive moisture, as in this case here, or you have also a loss of your roots, but we have water trapped between the leaves, among the leaves, because these plants they can have some stem rot as well because of the structure how the leaves grow. You have to avoid to keep water trapped among the leaves so you don't have rot. Rot can severely affect your Tolunia. I have here a case of rot. So one of the growths of this plant it's completely gone, and it started to become very yellow, mushy, and the leaves were falling. In this case here, I lost a whole new growth and a whole new section of this orchid. So we had to be careful. We had to make sure that our mix is well ventilated and that we don't leave water trapped among the leaves. Same thing if you notice that your Tolumnia is not growing anymore. If your Tolumnia is not pushing new growths, even if it's a little bit slower, it's not pushing out new roots. If you have a transparent plastic pot, you would be able to see. It's probably that the conditions or the potting mix that your plant is potted in is not exactly good for your plant. So in this case, the best thing for you to do would be to repot your Tolumnia. Again, if you notice that the leaves are all dropping and your plant is very weak, is not bouncing back, it's another sign that something is wrong, and it's probably something to do with the mix. Maybe the mix is too old, maybe is actually having too much water trapped inside. So in this case, you would have to unpot your plant, investigate the root system, check the potting mix, and maybe make some adjustments so you might have a healthier plant in the future. So when should you repot your Tolumnia orchid? That's very easy to respond. You received a new Tolumnia from an orchid nursery. This Tolumnia will probably come in little baskets or bare rooted. And ideally, since it will be in that basket for a while, you should offer a brand new mix to this plant. If the plant is bare rooted, it's possible to grow Tolunia bare rooted because they are epiphyte plants, but you need to offer them the right conditions for them to keep growing like so. If not, if you decide to pot your Tolunia orchid, that's a perfect time for you to do it because not only the mix, if there was some mix, was probably old, but also you just receive it, and it's a good idea to add it potted to your new potting mix. If your Tolunia orchids, if you're growing it potted and it's potted for 2 to 3 years, it's also a good idea to unpot it and to offer it a completely new mix. Something else is if you notice that your orchid plant, your Tolumnia, is very stressed, is dropping its leaves, is showing sign of dehydration, and all of the previous things that I mentioned, it's also a good sign to remove it from the potting mix and offer a completely new mix. When we have an appropriate mix, what will happen is you notice that your plant will keep growing, pushing out roots, will open its buds, and you're gonna have beautiful tiny flowers. This here I bought from Orchid Garden in Poland in the end of last year. It came with a flower spike. One of the flower spikes didn't open its buds, but the second one did. And not only that, it has two beautiful spotted flowers. I'm really happy with it. I can see that all the growths are very plumpy, which is a good sign, which means that this plant is actually well adapted to this mix. One of my healthiest Tolumnia that I'm probably showing you now a B-roll of it is full of mature growths. It's also pushing out new growths and new roots. It has bloomed for me last year, so it's all going well there. And it's a very good example of what a super healthy Tolumnia should look like. In the beginning, when you receive your Tolumnia, sometimes they are very, very tiny like this one, and you fit in a tiny pot, this potting mix that we, and these plastic pots that we receive some succulent plants in it, and they will fit amazingly with our tiny Tolunias. I have another one there. This one I also received from Poland. It's cute. It pushed out a completely new growth. This growth is not mature yet, but it's much larger than previous growth. So you will notice when you have a healthy Tolunia that the newest growths should be a little bit larger than previous growths, and your plant in the future won't fit in a tiny pot like this, so you can offer a slightly larger pot. It will never be a massive plant, but it will become a bushier plant capable of pushing out probably longer flower spikes with more flowers. But we're not talking about the good cases here. We will be exploring some of the worst case. So some cases like this one that were completely rootless, I tried to add inside a humidity chamber, didn't work out. As I mentioned, Tolunias are prone to rots, so you need to be very careful. But in this case here, I not only have two growths, I can see signs of dehydration, but I'm not going to add it inside the humidity chamber. I will repot this Tolumnia to try to see if I can rescue and actually save this plant. So I will show you step by step how I repot it. This is not a new plant, it's a plant that I have for a while in my collection. It used to be tiny, it became a much bushier plant, but now it's not looking amazing. So we were tempted to save it together. I will just change the camera and show you the step by step. There we go. This is my, I forgot to tell you, this is my Tolumnia Direct Rainbow. It produced very cute, tiny, deep red, like burgundy flowers. And as you can see here, I don't know if it's possible to see, but the leaves are very wrinkled. As I mentioned, this is the new growth, and there is a new growth coming just here. So I have an sterilized pair of pruners. I need to remove this from its pot. I just watered it yesterday, so it's very, very wet. I hope it helps me somehow. So the first step, it's always to remove it from the pot, trying to save as many roots as possible. For these, I will just squeeze my pot gently to make sure all the roots are detached from the pot. It is in a slightly spotted in a slightly larger pot. It's not one of the tiny pots anymore because this plant was a little bit larger. Okay, oh, it has live roots, I can see that, which is a super good sign. It took me a while to actually come to repot this plant because I don't have much moss left, but I think it will be enough. So let's keep removing all of this old mix. Very gently looking into the root system, because I do have live roots, which is always a sign, and which help me, it will definitely help me in the long run. The fact that the mix is wet, it's also a good sign. I have a very old growth here that's coming from the base. I lost part of these orchids, so there we go. I do have a rotten growth here that is not serving me anything anymore, so these can also go. And oops, all of these was, oh no, all of these were dead, simply detached from my plant. Although some of the roots were still alive, that part was not connected to my plant anymore. Anyway, fine, we will deal with whatever. As I mentioned, the thing with Tolumnia orchids is that they are very slow to recover. So let me just clean here a little bit so you can see that my plants are a little bit better. Now what I have is only 2 growths, and I do have some roots here. Let's see if I have live roots. So we need to inspect the root system and how we do it. We just touch the roots, see if it's mushy, if the outer layer is coming off, if it's not. Some of them are very black, like this one. Even if it's a bit alive, I don't think it is anymore, no. So the string is completely dead inside. Because I don't have many roots, I will avoid cutting everything. I will cut all of these black roots that are mushy. Let's start removing them first. And we pray here, we deeply hope that we will have some live roots. Who knows? Okay, it's difficult because I can see the strings coming anyway. Okay, I have more dead roots than live roots here. Something else is that the live roots were trying to grow, but out of the pot, so it's very dry. I need to be able to actually pot this section here inside the potting mix, so everything can touch the potting mix. Oops. There is an eye here. This is a new growth sprouting. Hopefully each will still grow. When we have new growth sprouting, it's always a good sign because they can actually bring a completely new root system. Okay, so that's what I'm left with. I will just grab the new potting mix and I'll start repotting this plant. Let me just clean here. So what I have in here is a little bit of moss, less moss than what I usually use, but in this case will do. I have bark. And I have my Tolumnia. Also, I'm using a pot full of ventilation holes that help to actually have some air circulating around the root system, because these plants, as I mentioned in the beginning, they are epiphyte, which means that they grow in air, not inside soil. So a very heavy mix, it wouldn't be really good for this one. However, all of these spark will help with the ventilation as well. So usually I do add more moss at the bottom. I don't have many strands of moss because, unfortunately, my sphagnum moss is gone and takes a while to be delivered, but it will come soon. And with that, I'll keep layering, and there are some strands of moss or a little bit of moss here that I will use to balance my mix out. I will add the old growth near the edge, but actually can be towards the center. No way this plant will actually be all around this pot anytime soon. The Tolumnias, they are not super fast growers when they are stressed. I mentioned that as well. Take a while for them to bounce back. Trying to find a way that I can use my right hand is not working. Let me grab something. Oh, I have slow release fertilizer here. I will add, let's say, around 5 beads. That's it. Also, I grab the rest of my moss, the last strand of moss here and there. The advantage of potting some of your plants now is that it's spring, finally spring. So, or kind of almost spring. So the weather, it's a little bit warmer than before, and also it's full of light, which is great. Have to be careful not to bury at the stem of the orchid, because I don't want to have a serious case of stem rot, but it has to be enough for my plant to be touching the potting mix, specifically the roots. I want these tiny roots to hydrate my plant anytime soon, so which will grow nicely inside the potting mix. Okay, I will just clean my table and let's conclude this video. So guys, here it is, my fully repotted Tolumnia orchid. I offer it a completely new mix system. Oops, as you could see, the old growths were completely rotten, so I lost the oldest part of my orchid, and also with that I lost almost all of its roots. So the reason why this plant is not only showing signs of dehydration, but it was also a bit stressed, is because it doesn't have many roots. Also, the mix was a bit old, and I could investigate the root system and see that I had a case not only of root rot, but also of the stem rot that led to my new growths to be gone. I not only repotted these orchids, removed the old growths, removed old roots, and now it is here potted with a fresh mix. I will add some water to this pot to make sure this orchid doesn't get even more stressed than what it is. And the next thing that I have to do is to bathe it a little bit, make sure that it's receiving enough light, being hydrated when it needs some water, be in with an even, when possible, temperature until this plant is able to bounce back. I do have hope because I have some new growths, and these new growths hopefully will be able to hydrate my plant in the future, and also will be able to feed my plant and push out beautiful flower spikes. So with that being said, that was everything that I want to show you today when it comes to Tolumnia orchid. I hope you have beautiful Tolumnias in your house, or if you don't, if you ever experience that they push out beautiful blooms for you. Just remember, these plants are so cute. So if they are affordable where you live, I super recommend you to give them a go and have fun growing your Tolumnias. With that, I am going here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. And with that being said, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.